Hi, welcome to another tutorial from tdcat.com. We haven't done one of these for a while, but I thought I'd just make a note of a couple of things that I've been working on recently and share them with you as well, just in case they can help you. Been looking at a few studio photographs, and like by studio, I'm not talking about a proper studio here. I'm talking about a setup in a house with some appropriate backdrops and something to basically make it look like a studio shot. So home studio, I guess, is the best word. Anyway, this here is the picture that we're looking to end up with, and I just want to sort of talk you through the process that I've used here to get to this end result. And the original shot is actually not too bad, so we're going to switch back now. We're in Lightroom, of course. We're going to switch back now to the original shot. If I reset this. So there we go. There's the original. And the first thing you notice is you can actually see the backdrop here, down the bottom right hand side of the picture and down the bottom left hand side of the picture. And that's one of the main things we're looking at here. The picture itself is pretty well exposed, and it's very sharp as far as the image is concerned. It's it's in focus, it's sharp, but the only problem we have, of course, if I drop the exposure, you'll see it even better. You can see here that we've got the backdrop. It looks awful like that, doesn't it? It's totally in display. But the point was here that I lit Kate. You can see she's got one key light on her from about 45 degrees, something like that. You can see that in her eyes there. And I also lit the background with two separate lights, so that the background hopefully was a little bit brighter than she was. The point being, of course, that you have to try and make the background as bright as possible. Well, not as bright as possible. You don't want to kind of get problems where you get light coming over the edge of the subject, but bright enough so you can basically get rid of all these of all these marks and things. So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to look at the histogram, and we see that obviously there's a big section up here because most of the picture is white, to be honest. Actually, we'll just convert it to black and white first, because I did want to do a black and white shot. So we'll first of all convert it to black and white, and then we'll make sure that we have these two turned on here in Lightroom. This shows when you have black clipping and white clipping. And what we're after here really is white clipping, because if the white clips on this background section, we know that it is a true white. It doesn't get any whiter than clipped white, and that's really what we want. So if I just push the exposure right up on the image, you see that as we push it up, it starts to fill in those sections. But that's all very well, but of course you can't use an image like that because Kate looks a complete mess. So let's put that back to normal. So the first thing we're going to do, just so you know, if you want to put something back to normal, you can just double click on the area. So double click on exposure there, and just drops it back to the center point in Lightroom. So the first area we're going to look at is whites, and we're going to push those up a little bit. And just as you start to push them up, you start to see that the image, it makes very little difference to the look of Kate there. It will obviously be making some difference, but it's hardly noticeable at this point. And now we're starting to see that it's breaking into her stripy top, and you wouldn't really want it this high anyway. So I think the highest we're going to get away with at this stage on this image is initially maybe something like that. So we've got a little bit of a rim around the hair, so we're not cutting into the hair too much, and we're not cutting into Kate too much. And we've still obviously got these problems with the bottom section. So the next thing I'm going to do to help get rid of those is put on a graduated filter and put the exposure. So the exposure would probably be, this is with everything set to default. I'm just going to put the exposure right up to +4 stops and click and drag the graduated filter in. We're not actually going to, you can obviously go over Kate like that, but then it starts to affect her. So we're going to try and avoid doing that. But you can put one there, one at the side here. Can we get away with taking it in slightly? No, we'll avoid touching her at all. So it sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? And again here, we can possibly get away with something on the black on the leggings there, just to pull it in a little more. And again, the bottom here, something like that. That's not too bad. One in the middle. I'm gonna watch. So you're now getting it so you haven't got the bits pulling into the top like that, but you are getting it right up to her skin pretty much. I mean, it doesn't have to be right. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you know, make it a good job. And then it's all red here anyway, but let's put one there for just for completeness. Really, it doesn't have to be there, but it's not going to do any harm because once it's white, it's white. And then click done. And you'll notice that already we've got it's looking a lot tighter there. So let's see if we can pull any more in with the whites. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. So just before we get to there, maybe get to maybe that point, something like that. And what I'll do now is zoom in, and I'll just make it fill actually. And why is my monitor just gone off? Oh, is it actually still recording? Well, not sure if it is, but we'll carry on all the same. And so at the bottom of the image, and this time we will go to our adjustment brush and do the same thing as with the graduated filter. Put it up to +4 stops and increase the brush size with a little bit of a feather, and then we can just simply fill around it. Again, no need to cut right into her, but this means we can just get these extra bits totally sorted out. And of course you can click over here to move around. Actually, that's why. Oh, it's filling it automatically, isn't it? I did want it. Let me just do it as a fit. I'll have to reduce the brush size. Doing that with the mouse wheel on this particular setup. And a little bit more there maybe. And that's that one done. So what we have now is an image that doesn't, if you look, it doesn't cut into Kate at all, but it's pretty tight around. So all these red sections now are completely white. There may be some adjustments you want to make to the exposure itself. You might want to drop it or increase it, but I think it's pretty good like this actually. I might just push the contrast up just a touch on this image. And the next thing I'm going to look at is the sharpness of the image. It's already pretty sharp, so we don't want to mess around. I can turn that off for now to give a nicer... So you've now got rid of all these bits down here, and it looks pretty nice. But I'm just going to push the sharpness up just a touch. And the first thing I'm going to do is do the masking on the sharpness. So if I zoom back out of that image, and while I'm on the masking, hold down the Alt key and move over, we show that obviously it drops. The masking picks up the white background immediately. So you only really need to put this to something like, I don't know, usually between 10 and 20 gives good results. And that means that all these areas won't be touched by the sharpening filter. It wouldn't really matter if they were because it's just white anyway, but it's good practice anyway because it's better to do that on other images. So let's just, I think that would be way too much. I never normally go above 50 on sharpening of images, but I'm going to, on this one, take it to about, take it to about 40, something like that. And so already that's looking pretty good. There's a couple of other things I always tend to do, however. Firstly, clean up the face. There's very little wrong with their skin, but why not? You might as well if it's a studio shot, you might as well make it look very good. So we're on the heal tool here under the spot removal section, which is the Q key. And that needs removing there. We do a removal of that. It's a bit weird. Like this version of Lightroom picks some funny areas. So we'll just get rid of a few of these little blemishes. Joys of pregnancy. But no, her skin's pretty good, generally. There is a kind of weird mark here. There's kind of almost like a weird mole thing here that she's had since she's been pregnant. I mean, I'm probably going to get slated now by people for disrespecting her during her pregnancy, but trust me, if she sees pictures like this and if they go anywhere, that she wants me to get rid of them. That's a mole there, so I'm going to leave that because there are, of course, there's natural stuff that there's never any reason to get rid of. And on the arms, yeah, the arms look pretty good. Might get rid of that dark one there. A couple of these. And then if we zoom out, there we go. Now, one more thing to do is eyes. Eyes are ever so important in all this stuff. So we're going to pick the adjustment brush again. And I always find it useful. You can press the O key to you can press the O key to show the mask as you're painting it on. So I'll do that. If I just do a bit of drawing, you can't see anything there. But if I press the O key, there we go. It shows the mask. That's useful to do. So there's one eye. This looks so freaky when you draw someone's eyes in. And there's the other eye. And then the adjustments to these have to be so subtle, but they're definitely worth it. And all we're going to do, I'll just turn off. All we're going to do is just increase the sharpness on the eyes independently. So only by about sort of 10 points, something like that, and just increase the exposure of them just slightly, just to make them, bring them out just a tiny bit more. It doesn't have to be much, because otherwise it just looks odd. Looks like you're wearing some kind of strange contacts. But that'll do. And it just brings the eyes out a touch more, which I always find I like in these kind of shots. So there we go. Just to show the clipping again, we've still got our nice clipping around the edge, which means we've got a completely white background, and we now have a very presentable image, which I would probably export into Photoshop and just put a name on or something like that, just to and it just makes it look like a professional photograph. But there you go. There's my kind of workflow around an image in Lightroom when I'm working with a white backdrop. So hope that's useful to you, and I will do another one of these soon. Bye for now.